Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The Great War of Archimedes. And this is a Japanese film from Toho, directed by Takahashi Yamazaki, and tells the tale of a young man who's a naval officer and math prodigy who looks deeply into the construction of a Navy ship for the Japanese and uncovers something going on. And this film, clocking in at 2 hours and 10 minutes, opens up with a big scale attack on this naval ship. The effects are impressive, the scale is engrossing, the action is thrilling as you see these planes dropping bombs down on this ship, and just destruction and people falling, flying, jumping from this ship as it basically pulls a Titanic and just like up and drops into the sea. And you have this big, exciting opening. And honestly, for a not like big budgeted Hollywood film, these effects are pretty decent. And you're in this engrossing thing, and then bam, years before. And now we have our story. Now we meet this young man along with a bunch of other naval officers and generals and admirals that are involved in this story. And this young man, which it has those moments whenever he's doing like his math, like all the numbers start writing across the screen and stuff like that. And it's just like basically Alan from The Hangover. He's basically having his Jimmy Neutron brain blast moment, and you see all the numbers and everything, and this young man is wrapped up in this big production of trying to pull these ships together with World War II raging. And this is definitely towards the beginning in like 1933, when we had nothing to do with it at all at that point in terms of America. But there's a lot of things going on in Europe and Asia, and this film, based off that opening, you expect a war film. Not really what this is. This film feels like it's really rooted in Japanese pride, and there's definitely like a commentary on age as this young man's trying to go against like the establishment in his country and his military looking at the productions of these ships. He has a lot to say. He has a lot to contribute to this because of his own skills. And you see him dealing with all of these moments of conflict and planning, and you get deeply rooted into his thought process, what he's experiencing. There's one particular scene, he's getting on a ship and he just sees off, and like all the people are waving goodbye, and then they all start lighting on fire, and then it's slowly, the camera starts pushing back behind them, and it just transitions into this like hellscape of a city on flames, just burning and destroyed and in rubble. And the CGI then was pretty awful. But you get that feeling, and that was something bold, which I appreciated what Yamazaki was doing in that moment, trying to portray those inner fears of this young man. And this film is very technical in how it portrays the military and really drives in those ideas and those conflicts within these military ideas. The story turns off like feeling like this is a fine period piece. This isn't something that like blew me away, that really grabbed my attention, excited me. It was something where it's like the production design is great. It's an interesting kind of story. They don't do anything particularly bold or ambitious or intriguing with it. And you have this sense of like something bigger going on because of like the scores really working overtime here from Naoki Sato and Naoki Sato, and just this score at moments makes this film feel so much more ambitious and big and exciting. Like there's like the climax of this film is like a board meeting kind of thing, talking about these ships where you really come to conflict with these different ideologies, and this camera is just like panning across this table and just like the music swelling. I'm just like, how are they making this like board meeting so triumphant? And it's that score's working overtime and that camera work. But in the end, I feel like this film is solid. I think I'm glad I watched it. I don't know if this is something that I'm going to be excited to rewatch. I do have a lovely Blu-ray thanks to Go USA, so thank you. And I enjoyed watching the film, and especially if you're a fan of like historical dramas and true stories and a lot of intrigue and conflict in terms of just like period pieces and history, I think this is worth checking out. I don't think this is something very bold or interesting or something new or creative, but it's something that really shines a light on an interesting story. And I think it's worth at least taking in that story once. But those are my thoughts on the Great War of Archimedes. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.